What is going on, profitable stylists, future profitable stylists, and everybody else watching? What are hair extensions for different face shapes? Is what we're
Face
talking
shape,
about today.
face shapes.
Face shapes.
Yeah. Did you notice how my face shape is perfect?
Symmetrically perfect, not just any kind of perfect, symmetrically perfect.
I have no idea what the perfect face shape is. It would be great if we all thought our face was perfect. But what's really great for our business is nobody does think their face shape is perfect. I'm so glad that you are an expert in this field of face shapes.
Oh, yeah. Luckily for me, I'm such an expert because there's only 5 or 6 of them. There
Well,
aren't that many.
right. So I remember early on in hairstyling, cutting, and they would talk about these face shapes in school and and I thought I am never going to be able to do this. Everybody's face just looks the same to me. Yeah, I thought some were more attractive than others, but I didn't really get what was different about the shapes, and I didn't understand how the shapes mattered or what. And I just like haircuts, I just remember so many years into cutting hair, I'm doing this haircut, and it was a shorter haircut, and I just got it. I've said this before, but I'm pulling her hair up to cut it between my fingers, and when I'm pulling it up, I'm like, well, you got to pull it up to cut it because you can't just cut it laying against the head. You pull it up, and all of a sudden, geometry came back to me, and I got like how you cut the hair up here, whether it's square or round or longer here, how that affected what it looked like when it fell. It's almost like you have to see a haircut upside down to understand it when it comes down and falls naturally. And so face shapes was a similar struggle for me. That one took me a lot longer to figure out. And I think getting into hair extensions is what helped me there, because we can talk about how a haircut or style changes a face shape, but the same reason I love hair extensions affects this also. See, when we're cutting hair, we can only change so many things. But what if we, or the client or another hairdresser, goes too short somewhere or does the wrong cut for the face shape? Hair extensions gives us the opportunity to go the other way, to lengthen the hair where it should not have been cut, or they're having trouble cutting. And then to go even further, hair replacement can cover parts of the head that need to be covered because hair changes the face shape. So that's so far we're very, very broad. Do you want to add anything before I go into a little bit
You
more?
want to know the easiest way? So if you're confused and you're not sure what your face shape is, you want to know what's the easiest way to figure it out?
Tell me.
Take you about $10. You go to the pier and you have those guys that do those characters. I can't say it correctly.
Caricature.
Caricature. Yeah.
You got it.
That's how I learned that I have a long
maximize.
face.
You have a long face because they
I
draw.
never thought I had a long face
Because
until
they
I got
draw it
older.
even longer. Yeah, they yeah. I don't know if I've ever had that done. I don't know what they would do to mine.
You'd be surprised. You'd be
Yeah.
surprised.
So
So then I start talking to the dude. I'm like, why does my face look like a hot dog, man? Why is it so long? He's like, that's what we do. We use the basic face shape, and then that's what we build everything off, and then we just kind of add everything in.
And
How else do you think I can get it done in like within 5 minutes? He had it all drawn up.
So I've got a way. I decided after I had an idea what I wanted to talk about today, let me just see what some other people say about this on YouTube. And I found a girl like 10 years ago, was a pretty good video. And she had a great idea to sit in front of a mirror and draw on the mirror, not the hair, but just the face, the shape of your face on the mirror with a whiteboard marker that you can erase. And you can see the shape on the mirror, and then you can tell. And there are a lot of shapes. But before we go into any specific shapes that I'm sure you have a list of, and I know some of them just through the years, but I would say I want to make it super. I like to make things simple first, and then I'll let you complicate them with all your science. But the first thing to me is, I think most people, it was funny because the same girl said most girls think their face shape is round, because round seems to be the least desirable by most people. And so most people are like, I have a fat face. The round means they think that their cheeks are bigger than they should be. And I think we all only see our negatives, the things we wish were better. And so to me, the two most common face shapes that people love or hate or complain about is they'll say, like you just said, their face is either long or short and fat. Short generally makes it look fatter because shorter makes it look wider. So that's, I guess, a little more of a round look, whereas long looks long and skinny. And that can be good or bad, depending on a few other things. So those are the two most basic. But we know that square is one of them. And square at the bottom, square at the top.
Yeah, right. You're like a box. You're just
right. And just through experience, just to give you an idea, like what I do with my hair to change my face shape a little bit. I personally go through a little bit of direction with my haircut and with my style, because I have had bad haircuts before, or what I think looks like a bad haircut, and people make fun of me, or I look in the mirror and I think I look stupid, and I'll say I look like a pinhead because my head goes in faster here than I like. And so if my hair is flat right here, I'm a little pointy on my head, and I think I look silly, and I can kind of push it down here, and I don't like it. So I would never do that faux hawk thing, because I think it even accentuates that stupid face shape of mine. And so I realize I'm a little square down here, and I kind of like the harsh lines of square. So I push in hard here, but then I leave to not follow my scalp, but cut straight up the side. So I'm a little more square on the side. And then when I style, I try to push in hard here, but let this stay a little wider, because I think that I look better with a more square look all the way through. And I get more compliments then also. And I think that that's just one little small thing. So do you do anything to try and enhance your face, Eddie?
Similarly, I do the same thing you do. I purposely do not follow the curvature of my skull. And I purposely try to keep this more boxed. And then I'll go in and I'll mess it up and spike it and pull it out and move it in different directions, just to keep it all, like when I have it short. When I have it longer, I don't slick it straight. When I've had longer hair, I purposely do not slick it straight back. I've always slicked it on an angle back, just again to compensate for the curvature of my skull, And when I used to have really, really long hair, instead of doing a mohawk, I tried doing a mohawk at one point. Well, not I tried. I did have a mohawk at one point. But then I went into those crazy, talking about pinhead. I had those spikes, like they called them Liberty spikes back then.
And did you do it right through the center, or you do it everywhere?
When I had the mohawk, it was right through the center, but mine was a little bit fatter. It was also 3 feet tall, so it was like ridiculous. But when I did the spikes, I literally had them coming off like this, and then I had them coming off the center as well too. So I look like Sonic the Hedgehog a little bit. I was trying to do like Sonic the Hedgehog, But that was the only way, because otherwise, yeah, with the way my skull, with the way my head shape is.
So let's talk about girls.
Yeah, it balanced it out.
Let's talk about some girls and some haircuts and some quick changes. And then I'd like you to list out the official. Is heart shape a face shape?
It is. Yeah, heart shape is a face shape.
I think that's your face shape when I look at it, because your bit of a widow's peak gives that little bit of a roundness here, and then you're a little more narrow at the bottom.
Yeah, it comes a little more narrow down, yeah.
And then your big fat cheek.
Squirrely. I'm keeping snacks in there.
It gives you more of a heart-shaped face. Do I have a face shape that's similar to one of the official ones that you have on your list?
I mean, I would agree that it's more squared off, because you do have a predominant jawline.
And then wider here.
and it's
Yeah.
wider through here, so I will agree that it's more squared off,
So the two big
and you have a
changes.
strong hairline, through your top as well too,
Oh yeah, yeah. That kind of
because you
squared.
got to look at the top and you got to look at the bottom as well.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying earlier. Like somebody can be rounded at the top, square at the bottom, and you can like for me, the shape in the front is definitely more square, but then the shape back here becomes flat here. So then I like to square that off because I think I already have the square up front. So it kind of pulls it together. So the thing that I started to notice before I really understood how many, and I got a little overwhelmed when I started watching a video earlier about face shapes, because this girl starts listing them. And I was like, well, okay, I guess there's as many shapes as there were in geometry when we were learning all these different round, oval, square. I mean, trapezoid, maybe. I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of different shapes, but I don't think all the details are quite as important as the couple that really, really matter to people. Because go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, so what? No, my question was gonna be, so what? You started watching it and then you gave up and you're like, Eddie will know him.
I didn't. Well, sort of, because I thought, I don't want this video to be that complicated. I mean, we'll mention them and I'll probably give some opinions on them, but I think that mostly people are concerned with, and I shouldn't say concerned, but should I wear bangs? Should I have bangs? That's a big one.
Question. Yeah.
Yeah. So the couple of quick haircut changes that affect or change a shape of a face really quickly is long hair, not layered, just all part on the side or the middle. Actually, the side or the middle makes a difference. And then bangs or framing the face with a haircut. So those two things make a big difference. And then the bangs, where they fall. And I love the really wild out bangs that come all the way back to the hairline, way back here. Yeah. Just weird and crazy, and not most people will do it. So you'll see it occasionally in some real serious black-haired goth look in some movies or something, but or like a futuristic type movie because not many people do it. But typically, bangs will do what to a face shape?
It'll either enhance it, or it'll enhance it. It'll show it off.
But if you have
it'll completely change the face shape altogether.
That's what I'm talking about. So my first thought when a girl says, "What do you think about bangs?" I'll look at her face and I say, well, typically bangs are gonna shorten your face. And if you already have a small forehead, like my daughter and myself, we have, like, we call it a 3 head instead of a 4 head. Some people have a 5 or a 6 head. And so with a tiny forehead, hers is even smaller. I said, I don't see how bangs are going to work on you, because first of all, the bangs are going to be so short unless you wear them long. And if you have a short forehead, you probably have a shorter face already, which makes your face look a little wider, which first thing a girl's going to think is, my face is fat. That's the underlying round face. I have a round face. You just said I have a fat face. Immediately, that's what a person hears. And because they're thinking of the round, like you're holding something in your cheeks, like you were saying. And so when you shorten this way, it automatic, by putting bangs and you see less face. Look, all of a sudden, I wish I had something brown. I have to do something dark like my phone. I mean, immediately, the optical illusion is that my face got wider right here, because you're seeing more this way than you're seeing this way. So typically, the first big fix on a girl who does have a long, skinny face would be bangs, some sort of bangs. There's so many different kind of bangs. I'm not saying exactly what kind. It could be the trendy bang, the not so trendy bang, or be a little bit of bangs, a lot of bang. It could be over the eyebrow, in the eyes. It can be short and very, very weird looking if you're into that weird culture or whatever. Weird to me might be normal to you, kind of thing, That
is my normal.
Right. And so that was like the first quick fix I started noticing as a young hairdresser, just starting to toy around with face shapes, is that bangs could really change a girl's face. And then the bangs, like, where do you go with bangs? And I know that when you brush hair straight down in the front and it's going to we call it a triangular bang line usually, because the round shape of the face, all the hair coming down. When you grab this point and this point, you pick it up, it's going to be basically a triangle, right? And so for me, a few little things that I found that with bangs, if you don't want to close the face in too much this way, and you want to start to open it back up and start to not make it look too short and give a little bit more face, it's picking a couple of different lines over here to bring your bang to. Typically, before I poke myself in the eye, we won't do it with the ink. Typically, I need to wax my eyebrows. So typically, I'm getting a little too close to the camera. Typically, you've got the corner of your eye, the corner of the eyebrow, and then you've got all of this space. And so that's kind of like the gray area. Most people would do bangs to go to where at least you can see through, right? So the corner of the eye. But then if you want to make the face a little more visible, you can go to the corner of the eyebrow. And it's just a good place on both sides to get symmetrical. And then from there, you can just keep going wider till you look completely ridiculous and unnatural, or even into the hairline. And that's generally what moms do with their kids that aren't hairdressers. Moms are trimming their little girls' bangs, and they just keep cutting until they reach a hairline over here. And that's when you see, and you're like, Mom, cut your bangs. That's how we know, little things like that, because nobody is taught to cut bangs until you just can't anymore. We know we have a guideline, kind of. So that was the first thing for me. And then the second thing that I started to notice was if I framed somebody's face, if their face is a little, so long faces, I'd give bangs and I could shorten it. Fat faces, I would frame and I shouldn't say fat, but you know what I mean? Round faces, wider faces, shorter forehead, right? Then you're trying to cover some of this, and leave that looking. So you're framing the Jennifer Aniston cut forever, it kind of, the hair came forward. So it was kind of almost covering a little bit of the side of the face, and it was making it look longer this way. Those were the first two that changed my life. And you know what? I feel like Elvis Presley. What did he play? 3 chords to get famous for the longest time. I didn't need to know 100 face shapes. I was like, those 2 were good enough for me to make a good living. I can make your face shorter, or I can make your face wider. What else do we need? Well, Eddie's going to tell you what else we need. Go ahead, Eddie. I think I might just go to the bathroom and have some coffee, and I'll see you in a little while.
Yeah, right. Thanks a lot. I got it.
Talk about perms next week.
Nice. Those are generally what everybody is going after. If you're reading those fantasy books, it's always the square jawline or the predominant features. So everybody was always trying to go after that a lot. What we've come to realize is there are other face shapes other than being long or being, square and shortened off. So you were mentioning earlier about a widow's peak. And if somebody has that hairline that peaks down into the forehead a little bit further and then comes back up again and then comes back down, that's what we refer to as a heart shape. And on somebody with a heart-shaped face, because it's kind of drawing, in essence, the shape of a heart, trying to do bangs on somebody with a heart-shaped face, you'd have to go so far back into their hairline, and you would have to forcefully push so much hair forward. Hair naturally doesn't want to lay that way. So then it's just going to look crazy. It's going to look like they have a little string of hair in the front of their head. And then they're going to look like they have some wings coming off flying away through the top, And if you're trying to cosplay a devil or a demon or something, I guess that would work. But otherwise, Halloween or something is only once a year. You can't walk around like that all year long. This is where side parts play very nicely. This is where a sideways swept bang, sideways framing, any kind of sideways. And depending on left or right, everybody has a good side, everybody has a bad side. And when you go to take a picture, when you go to snap yourself a selfie, everybody always does one of these, or whichever way they go, because you just innately know when you look at yourself you like this side better than you like that side, or vice versa. So whichever side part you want to go to doesn't necessarily matter unless you have a strong hair growth. How you say?
Yeah, that's why I push my hair this way, because if I go that way, it lays flat, and I want a little lift here, so I go.
You want a little lift in volume, right?
So I'm fighting the pattern from my scalp.
And that's another decision and choice that you're going to make as well. Some people want fullness or volume or big hair. So then you go against the grind. You go against the direction that your hair wants to lay naturally. And then some people want that smoother, sleeker look. No problem.
Go with it.
Go with it. Don't fight it. Go with it. And then it'll naturally help lay it down smoother and more gently as well too. So for a heart-shaped face, a side part, a side bang, side framing, just anything that helps direct the hair forward to be able to help cover in a little bit of that gap. And it's not necessarily even a gap. It's not that you have a receding hairline. It's just that the front of your hairline just comes down further. So
the accentuation of this makes it almost look like you have more recession here,
even though you don't necessarily have it.
So that side part will cover one side, and then the other side doesn't. Isn't it weird? The other side doesn't seem to look as much like a recession because you're covering the widow's peak also by doing a part here and coming over, so it just looks natural, receded a little bit, and because you're completely covering one. I like that. I like that. So we got heart, square, round. What else?
To me, an oval shape and a round shape, I don't know the nice way how to say it other than if you're a little chubbier.
No, this oval.
I've always struggled with the oval face.
So every video I watched, most people agree that oval is the desired face shape. It's supposed to be the best one.
It's supposed to be the best one because
I guess round is going to be what makes you look chubby, and oval is going to take the fat cheeks out a little bit and start to elongate a little. Oval this way, not oval this way.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? I guess there could be both. I didn't think about that. But
that's the craziness. But yeah, that's the one that everybody's on about all the time.
And isn't beauty in the eye of the beholder, right? Because to me, I love a square face on a man or a woman. I think a lady with a square jawline and a wider chin is more attractive most of the time when it's a real point. And I know I got friends that are like, look at that heart-shaped face. I love her chin kind of coming, and I don't. It's funny how you just like certain things, and where does it come from? Who knows? But oval seems to be the one that is supposed to be the easiest to work with for all you. They claim you can wear bangs, no bangs, frame the face, not frame the face, and you're pretty safe no matter what you do.
No matter what you do, yeah, you're pretty safe with
that's the thing. Now, I don't see if this plays in at all here. It's haircuts, and it must have something to do with face shapes, but I'm gonna say that this is a myth, a wives' tale, a lie that's been said forever and ever, that a woman should go shorter the older she gets.
I hate that.
I hate it too. But
you should go lighter and you should go shorter.
Yes, lighten your hair. Now, listen, nature or God has decided to make most of us go a little lighter as we get older. So maybe we are supposed to be a little lighter, but I don't think you have to. But the shorter, I don't understand that one at all.
I really hate that. I think it has to do with the ease of care. When you have longer hair, you're supposed, it takes longer to blow dry.
Sure.
If you're a little bit older, maybe you don't have the stamina anymore to hold the blow dryer and round brush, but
many people do. So I think that's such a
I don't know. I'm just trying to think, like,
I
where
know.
did that come
Well,
from? You know?
I got a few of them that I've kind of figured out along the way because, working at owning a salon, hiring so many ladies, going through so many pregnancies, uh, I was always amazed, and clients that get pregnant, and so many of them cut their hair at some point, and they would say, "Yeah, why do pregnant ladies cut their hair?" Well, it's not pregnant; it's after you have the baby, and there's a few things that happen. Hair just gets in the way of a lot of things. It can get in the way of nursing. The babies, when they start grabbing stuff, they're grabbing handfuls of hair,
Oh God, a baby grabbing your hair. Oh
and they
my
don't
God.
want to let go. And
They
so
got that grip, man.
often, I mean, you can just put it in a ponytail, but often it's a lot of work. I think a lot of pregnant ladies, well, not, I think pregnant ladies are hotter than the average person around them. Their body temperature is a little hotter when they're cooking that baby. They're always saying, I'm a little hot. And I think the hair on their neck,
Is that why they say that's the glow, the pregnancy glow? They're on fire. They're
maybe
hot.
that might be the glow. It might be they're a little hotter, right? And so the light bulb's on in there. So maybe I never even thought about that. The haircut might become to cooling off, getting that hair off the back of your neck and off your back. But I have had a lot of friends cut their hair because the baby kept grabbing the hair and they would cut it off. And so then a few months later, when the baby can be controlled or taught a little bit more, like, no, don't grab mommy's hair. Then they're growing their hair back, and then they come in for hair extensions. Yes, cut your hair, come back in for extensions. So between the extensions and the haircuts, and so pregnancy is the only thing I found some logical reasons that a lady might cut her hair, being a little hotter, and the baby grabbing the hair. And then it's not necessary, but it's common. But the age thing, I don't even know where it comes from other than what you say. But most ladies tell me, I hear the older I get, I'm supposed to go shorter. Is that right? And they don't have anything to back that up.
Nothing.
And so on the other side, being a person that does a lot of hair extensions through the years, I just remember a couple of older ladies that must have never heard this or cared. I don't know, their daughter gets extensions and they think it looks so good, so they come in for them. And so at all ages, I'm putting in long 18-inch hair extensions, middle of the back. And my favorite, multiple times, but the first time was the most shocking to me. She walks out into the parking lot, and just as inappropriate as a construction worker can be, somebody driving by whistles at her long, beautiful hair.
That's awesome.
Is it? It is. It is. I know. It's the weirdest thing because it's so inappropriate. It's so rude, but she loved it. She got a little embarrassed and stopped and looked back at me and said, they whistled at me. And so I guess from a distance, they couldn't see her face or body, if she looked old or not. All they loved was the long hair. So to me, it's kind of proof that longer hair is a little bit of a sign of youth or attractiveness. I'm not really sure which.
It's a combination of both. There's actually historical reference to back that up as well. Long hair is a sign of wealth, youth, and beauty.
And thicker, because our hair does naturally get thinner. As everybody's noticed about me, how thin my hair's been getting since I'm getting older. A lot of it's coming out in the tub and in the shower. You can see my scalp now through my hair, and I'll probably be bald by the end of the year. But I think putting extensions in thickens a lady's hair or a man's hair and lengthens it and possibly changing the color. Mm-hmm. And then they get these comments about how much people love their hair. And so to me, it's like, you don't go shorter when you get older. Why not go longer? Because you look better to most people. So I get if you don't want to deal with it, you don't care, you just don't want to do it. And some people look amazing with short hair, right? I think that just the general public prefers more hair. And it just seems to be the case. There's no way to prove it in any kind of way. It just seems like when we do extensions, people love their hair, no matter the age, no matter. I can't tell you how many ladies I've done hair on that when my hair's a little bit longer, they're like, you should let your hair grow. It looks so good.
It's the same thing with the hair color that drives me mental as well. They're like, oh, I'm old now. I'm not allowed to have dark hair anymore. Like, who told you that?
Right.
I don't know who told you that. You know,
And
it's
so,
like, oh, I read it in a book somewhere. It's like, I don't know, show me the book.
so what does extensions do for the face shape? Because I guess that's got to do something.
So then there's one other face shape that we didn't talk about is, you know, like RJ thinks he has a clown face, which is basically, you know, like
really?
wider at the top, and it comes really sharply defined down towards the chin.
Is this really a shape?
It's a diamond face shape. It's what we refer to as a diamond face shape.
Diamond.
But if you think of, you know, like those caricatures, you know, they usually do like big round at the top.
That 10 minutes ago.
Pointy chin at the bottom, and then, you know, big old Dumbo ears. But yeah, a diamond face shape. So adding in hair extensions on that would help fill in, especially if you do like a bob haircut, or if you do some kind of a length, a strong design line, it can help fill in and balance out the bottom, you know? No, I know it's a joke, but there really is a diamond face shape.
Yes,
so
I do remember.
I
do remember doing that one too. And I wasn't sure what that meant, actually. I guess it means small at the top and the bottom.
Diamond is bigger at the top.
And you have that kind of diamond. Okay.
Sunken cheeks, tiny chin, like no chin. Like some people don't even have anything, you know, very soft jawline. They don't even have a jawline.
And that looks so good on a ring, huh? But not
on a ring. Yeah, sure.
But not on the neck.
No, you want to have a neck. You want to have something.
Well, some people just don't have them. So
no, but right, it is a face shape. There is a diamond face shape. So
yes,
those are predominantly the ones. You know, when you start running into hair extensions, what you really got to figure out, wefts. You know, we talk about wefts, we talk about length. We're always talking about the back of the head, but going in with single strands and strategically putting in.
Before you say this, let me say this. So I can't remember if I said this in the beginning of the video or if we were talking about this before the video, but the thing that I think hair extensions has to do with face shapes is that when we are dealing with face shapes and we want to accentuate a face shape and you're a hairdresser that only does haircuts, you can only go one way, right? So the only way you can fix a face shape if you, the client, I think I did say this in the beginning, you, the client, or a mom or a bad hairdresser messed up a haircut, going the other way. So we can only shorten hair as a hairdresser if you don't do extensions. But when you do extensions, you can fix the haircut to accentuate the face shape when you do extensions. So now you can go both ways. You're not just going shorter and thinner. You can go longer and thicker.
Yeah.
In specific areas if needed. And we've got some, we should probably link those. We got some free videos of fixing some bad haircuts at our academy. And I think
we did 3 or 4 of them. We did.
Yeah. In the description below, we have links to the academy where you can learn things, and they're completely free. Quite a few free videos. So talk about how and where you've put some extensions to fix some faces.
You know, I definitely make strong use of the hairline, very, very strong use of the hairline. And depending on what's going on up here, generally speaking, it is common practice or common acceptance that you don't go above the basically like the temple of your head. You know, you don't put extensions up in here. But the real rule to all hair extensions is if you have enough hair to cover it up, if you're parting your hair, whichever way you're parting your hair, if you have enough hair to cover it up, you can put hair extensions wherever you want, as long as you can style it.
Yeah, if the part is here, you can put extensions right here, all the way up to here, and you've got enough hair to cover and hide. Yep. So talk about the bangs we did in the.
For example, one of our training videos, we purposely took a mannequin head. We cut bangs. Yeah, we cut bangs into it to show off nice bangs, how it should look. And then we purposely wrecked it. It was fun. We hacked the crap out of it to thin it out.
Yeah.
and made them really short and really thin and see-through and everything. It was a disaster. And creatively using keratin bonds, we showed how to customize and manipulate the bond to make them two size, to make them completely hidden, and how to
Very
place
small.
it and lay them
Very
down.
small too. Very
Yeah.
small bonds.
Yeah. And then it instantly, within, I think it was only 4 or 5 strands. It wasn't even that many, but you were able to just fill that all back in again real quick.
You thought we only put 4 strands in the front?
Did we only did like 5? Or did we do 10?
No, I don't know. I think it was like
I think we
15
only
or
did like
20. Oh, it might have been 5 or 10 whole bonds that we cut up into 3 and 4 pieces. So yeah, I see what you're
Right,
saying.
but I mean, in total, I think
In
we
total,
only did it.
It wasn't right. It was right because 10 strands could make 30 or 40 individual little bitty pieces, right? So it wasn't much. So I'm not really sure if it was 5 or 10, but we made a. I know that we ended up putting like 15 or 20.
Oh, RJ's saying it was 10 strands we used, and then,
Oh,
and then
was
we
it?
manipulated
And
them.
he's got free courses. Oh, I thought he put a number there.
He put the link. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
What
with 10 strands, which is nothing, it's very reasonable for everybody involved.
Right.
It's very cost effective for everybody involved. But the finished look that we were able to recreate, and within 10, 15 minutes or less, it's not that time consuming as well.
Right.
That's the beauty and the power of being able to do that just through the bangs area. You take that same concept and you come down through the hairline as well too, using head mapping and the strategic points of the face. Oh my God.
Show me that head mapping again. That was interesting.
You got the head mapping.
Look at that.
I've got it down. I've got it down.
I just mapped my head. I think I can get there now.
No, there's 6 strategic points that go on each side of your head, and then all the way around.
But you only got 5 fingers, so how do you find 6 points?
You got to do the little skip. Hopscotch. You got to do a little skip when you get to the top.
Right. So what else did we do in those videos? So I remember one that we did kind of. All right, we're gonna let's change gears a little bit, but still changing the face. We talked about length and cut and parts, but what about color and how it'll change a face?
Well, it's the difference between using highlighting effects, and it's the difference between creatively using contrast and dimension.
What about a money piece? I hate that word. I hate
a money piece.
I hate to even say money piece. To me, that sounds like somebody's boyfriend or girlfriend, but it sounds so trashy. But people still use that stupid word, so we have to use it. So what is a money piece, and what does it do?
It's a trend. More than anything, it's a trend. And the only way that works is if you have enough hair and enough length going all the way through. If you don't, then what you're trying to create is, in a picture or when somebody's looking at you, you are trying to draw very strong attention to that one very specific area. That's what that is. And it's generally done with a lighter color that is contrasting against everything else you have. Whether it's a highlight, whether it's a red against a brown, a black against a brunette, whatever the contrast is, it doesn't have to be black and white all the time.
True.
You're just trying to call heavy attention to one specific area of the hairstyle. That doesn't necessarily always mean that it's going to be with your face shape, though. So you have to be careful of these kind of things. Just because something is trending doesn't mean it's for your type of hair. I see too many people try to force those kind of trends, and their face shape doesn't play along, or their hairstyle doesn't play along with it, and it looks kind of goofy.
So let's talk about the ones that do change your face for the better as far as color. I imagine you being in so many color classes, teaching so many color classes. Do you cover? any of what people should do to be more dimensional with color instead of just one solid look or just basic highlights or ombres, balayage, color melts? What do you do specifically around the face to do what?
All the time. And we talk about this all the time because you got to make decisions. Do you go all the way to your, okay, so if we're talking about dimensional color is one thing. If we're talking about highlighting, it's something else. Most people can easily wrap their minds around highlighting. It's the easier thing to talk about.
Sure.
Dimensional coloring can be done, but it takes a little more creativity, and in class, it makes a lot more sense. But with highlighting, universally, if you go directly to the hairline, then you are creating brightness all the way around.
Yep.
By creating that brightness, you may potentially be pulling your hairline back a little bit, which could open up your face.
I was thinking about that just now. Yeah. It could be another optical illusion where your face just looks bigger, and maybe you want that.
If you have a more diamond or a more a heart shape, if you have the more rectangular, if you have more squared off and you're trying to widen it out, if you have more narrowness and you're trying to widen it out a little bit more, then strategically you could completely do that and purposefully highlight all the way to your hairline. Have the highlight start right there, brighten it up and widen it out a little bit. And then the opposite. If you think your face is wider to begin with and you're trying to narrow it out, purposely create a shadowing or a darkness. Don't put the highlight right there. Go one finger back or a half centimeter or an inch or whatever, go a little bit inside of the hairline and create that darkness. Let it frame you up.
I'm teaching Alexis how to do highlights now. We're only doing the one, and I haven't really explained to her the why so much yet. But as we're doing highlights, basic pattern through the mohawk section and then some basic here. Yeah. And every time you grab a section, they need to be equally spaced apart and grab the very front hairline piece every time so that when a person pulls their hair back, you see the highlights on the front hairline. But if you don't grab the front piece, you should never grab the front piece. I said you can't have 5 or 6 or 8 foils going up each side and every once in a while grab a front hairline and then never do it on this side and just like have 2 blonde spots here. And then when you do the foil here, maybe 1 or 2. You have to think about the consistency. Now later we'll talk. It's got to look symmetrical most of the time, right? Sometimes we're doing asymmetrical work on purpose, but most of the time it's like you're getting all hairline or no hairline.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then of course, how it makes a face look different and whether you go all the way to the scalp or let it look like it's grown out, because like letting it look grown out, having a darker scalp can make your head look larger if that's the purpose.
Well, then you brought up something nice there as well, too. The placement strategy also matters. If you're going to come straight up the sides, that's going to create more dimension, highlight, and contrast for the weight line, for your design line. If you're going to come more on an angles, that's going to accentuate features and specific areas of your face as well, too, especially with somebody with bangs or with face framing. If their hair ends at their cheek, for example, you could put a highlight in there to help blend that in. You could purposely put a dark piece
layer you're talking about?
The shortest layers, yeah, in the layers that come across the face. You have to make those decisions on where those darker pieces stop and where those lighter pieces show up and stop as it's coming across their face with their style as well. It also has to do with sometimes when we highlight hair, again, it's the balance of deciding how trendy you want to be or how much to your face you want to go with. Sometimes the trends don't go with the person's face and they're trying to force color that they shouldn't be having.
Right.
They don't consider the makeup that they have to do because makeup completely changes your face shape as well.
True.
And how you contour, blush, and foundation, and I don't know all the names of makeup, but all of that feeds into it as well too. And if you overly highlight and if you have too much lightness coming through, you have to compensate with that with your makeup. Otherwise, you're going to look flush, and that's not always as appealing either. You got to, there's a lot of things to consider with that.
Now you might bring something else up, but this is next subject is all I've got on this. I'd like to talk a little bit about one length and layers and how that can affect also, because I've got some perms going on back here, but the styling of this perm and the length of the hair after is going to matter, because when I was younger and we were doing perms, the bigger the hair all over, the better, right? And even the rock bands, they were the bigger the better. They were teasing the hair just to get it big everywhere. But frizzy was more popular. Then as frizz went out, we had to learn how to get curl without the frizz, and turning upside down with a diffuser was the thing. But what I noticed was hairstyles that were big like this started to turn into this and bigger down here when curls started to come back. So even if I'm doing a perm like this, when I go to style it, I'm not going to push and diffuse against the scalp as much and try to get it big here. I'm going to let the weight pull the curl out at the scalp and push a diffuser in down here and accentuate the curls here. But then you've got this look on one length hair, and then layered hair is going to start to get more rounded. So you have to think about that corner. Do you just cut the corner off of one length hair? And being real broad and direct with just a all or none, and obviously there's 1,000 ways in the middle to do this. All or none, if you've got one length hair, most of your head of highlights doesn't even matter. One length hair, all you see is the front hairline and a little bit of stuff that happens if you're part in the middle. If you're part on the side, the few highlights you have here cover everything else, right? I mean, a little bit of veiling through from underneath might happen, but
yeah,
the full head of highlights starts to really pop or show or matter the more layers you have, right?
If you have one length hair and you have a full head of highlights, it's controlling the contrast in the movement, the overall color of the movement. Like, for example, some people want to be a brunette, but they don't want to look that like so dark and rich. You know, they want to be a little bit shade lighter. If you were a level 5 or a level 6, but you wanted to kind of look like a level 7, but your hair won't do it, you could be a darker brunette, but by adding in highlights strategically all throughout the interior of your hair, you may not visually be able to see it, but the overall appearance would give it a little bit more lightness.
A little lighter.
That's one creative way of doing it. Although, like you're saying, you don't necessarily see it, there is a place, there could strategically be a place for it. This is where hair extensions really, really shine, especially on one length in your example, because most of the time we, and I'm very generalizing right now.
Are you getting ready to describe undercurrent?
No. Well, actually, undercurrent is amazing. Yeah. Because hair highlighting is done very thin, like baby lights, very thin, right? People are afraid to take chunky, big highlights.
Right.
This is where hair extensions are amazing because they're the perfect size. Individual strands of extensions, O-rings or K-tips, are freaking amazing. Because
O-tips.
Yeah.
You said O-rings.
Oh, I meant O-tips. Excuse me.
Yeah. That's okay. That's okay.
I'm thinking about the bead and O-tips. O-tips or K-tips are amazing because they're the perfect size to show through enough contrast to show that you kind of have a highlight in there, but they're not so chunky where it looks obnoxious or obscene either, you know? And if you want to create a flash of color and be creative about it, to create that undercurrent technique and style, then you group them a little bit closer together in different patterns and designs that we also have a video of on our Profitable Stylist Academy. And you can have a lot of fun.
And so mostly what we're talking about here is doing all this around the face to change a face shape because it's a face shape video. But I think that we could probably talk about color placement, highlights, in a whole nother video.
Yeah, sure.
How close to the scalp should you go, and how much contrast should you have? I don't know that it'll be the next week's video, or if the perm will be the next week's video, but let's put those two in the queue to talk about in the near future, depending
All
on
right,
what
I got one for you.
So we need comments to let us know what you want to see next.
I got a question for you. This is something I run into a lot, and it drives me.
I might not be able to hear you. Go ahead.
People that don't like the way they look like to keep their hair long and all down their face.
Yeah.
So all you see is this.
Is there a question in there?
Yeah, my question, because it's like, how do you explain to somebody that you need to open your face up?
Well, first I'll take a look at the face and I'm like, okay, we're doing the right thing. You can't. Some people just don't want to show their face. They think it's almost like a security blanket.
But then they say like, oh, I hate the way my face looks. I hate my nose. I hate my chin. I'm like, but that's the only thing you can see when you do this. All I can see is your schnoz.
Is your nose and your chin. Huh? That's funny. Your schnoz.
If you're trying to hide it, you need to open up your face.
Well, I think that you're right as far as a hairdresser has to be encouraging and take some chances there. Because I remember my mom, when we were kids, my mom was a hairstylist, so I just thought she was mom and she was dressing me wrong and doing my hair wrong. I didn't know that she was kind of following a trend, and all of us were wearing basically a bowl cut when I was a kid. It was all pretty much one length, slightly layered, and was really thick along the edges. And it was bangs, just basically all the way around. And I look back and I'm like, oh, okay, everybody was doing it. Look at the yearbook. I don't guess I looked as stupid as I thought I did. But then this one brave hairdresser friend of hers says, you're 12 years old now. It's time to feather your hair. And I was like, what is it? What do you mean? We're going to part it down the middle and feather it. And I was like, I don't know about this. And he said, you can still push it forward if you don't like it, but he parts it because my hair always went this way. Now it's going that way. And I was like Brooke Shields, and he had me parted right down the middle. Everybody was doing it except me by this time. I was a little late to the party at this point. I was staring at myself in the mirror for hours thinking, God, I look so stupid. I wasn't used to it. But he had said it looked so good. All the other hairdressers said it looked good. As soon as I left, people said, I like your hair. And it took me a little while to get used to looking at myself and thinking, no, this just does not look right. So that's a common thing that we've always tried to have in a salon is, listen, guys, if you see something and you like it in the salon, say something. We need help encouraging these clients that are trying to get new things, or we recommend new things. But I think it's our job as a professional to recommend the trendy new changes. If everybody's pushing their hair forward, popping it up, sticking it up, parting it, coloring it, it's our job to encourage a client to move towards that new trendy style, especially your men. Most 40, 50-year-old men are just stuck in what they wore in their 20s and 30s. With a little encouragement, they'll change. What were you going to say? That's all I've got for today.
No, that's
you too. You done?
It really, no, that was the last thing I had. Yeah, because it really, that's what it comes down to. There are, depending on what your face shape is, regardless of whatever face shape you have, there is a style that fits for you. That's the most important thing. Okay. Talk to your hairdresser about it. Talk to yourself about it as well, too. And realize that you do look good in your own way. And beauty is subjective. You are not competing against everybody else. Nobody's ever going to look as good as Bernard is going to look. So
but y'all can try.
but we aspire to be, All right. So yes, with that, figure out if your left side or your right side is your good side. Just walk around sideways, show that off to everybody.
I've been trying to figure out this whole video since you said that. I'm like, I think I don't like.
Give us a comment. Let us know which side of Bernard's face is the better side.
That's
And we'll
hilarious.
catch you all next week.
Neither. That's what they're gonna say.